Welcome to The Bubble, the podcast that pops your comfort zone and scrambles your brain. Fasten your seatbelt. It's gonna get weird.
Today, we're really getting into something complex. South Africa. It's this incredible place, amazing beauty, but also this really intense history, stark contrasts. And we're tackling that huge question, who truly owns this land? It's not just academic, is it? It's raw, it's current.
Absolutely. It's alive and deeply contested, even today.
So we've got these sources, and we're going to try and unpack them, figure out who was there first, how it all became so contested, and why these historical echoes are, still so loud.
Exactly. And for you listening, our goal isn't to hand you a neat answer, because frankly, there isn't one. It's more about navigating this landscape together, understanding the nuances, the different claims, the history, tying it all up. It's complicated stuff.
Right. Let's start at the beginning, like the real beginning. Before any European ships were even on the horizon, Southern Africa wasn't empty. The sources point to the Khoikhoi and the Khoisan, right?
That's right. The Khoisan. They were the earliest known inhabitants we have evidence for. The original custodians, you can say.
Yeah.
Across the plains, mountains, coasts, this was their world.
And what was their connection to that world like?
Oh, incredibly deep. The research shows they were highly sophisticated hunter-gatherers, some pastoralists too. And get this, DNA evidence suggests they're among the oldest continuous human populations anywhere. Just amazing.
Wow.
Yeah. And skilled astronomers, herbalists, storytellers, their knowledge was, woven into the land itself.
It makes it even more tragic then, doesn't it? Being the first people there and then also the first to be, pushed aside.
It's a profound irony. They faced displacement, enslavement, and then were often just written out of the story by those who came later.
How did that actually start to happen, the erasure you mentioned?
It wasn't sudden. It was more like a slow, grinding pressure. Pushed off lands, sometimes enslaved, yes, but also just systematically ignored in the official histories that started being written by colonial powers.
Yeah.
Denying their presence, their connection, basically helped legitimize the new claims being made on the land.
So the Khoisan are the foundation, but South Africa's story involves a lot of movement, right? Who came next?
Right. It wasn't static. After the Khoisan had been established for millennia, you start seeing these significant waves of migration from the north. Bantu-speaking peoples moving southwards, settling mainly in the eastern and central areas. A major demographic shift.
Okay, Bantu-speaking peoples. What did they bring? Was the relationship with the land different?
Definitely different in some ways. These migrants weren't just passing through. They were the ancestors of groups like the Xhosa, Zulu, Sotho, Tswana. They brought advanced skills, ironworking, for example. That's a game changer for agriculture and tools. They also introduced cattle on a much larger scale, which changes how land is used. And they established really quite sophisticated cultures, complex systems of governance.
So less nomadic hunting and gathering, more settled agriculture and community structure.
Broadly, yes. While the Khoisan had that incredibly deep, almost spiritual tie often linked to hunting grounds and specific natural sites, these groups brought more formalized ideas about communal land use for farming and grazing. It reshaped the physical and social landscape again.
Okay, so we have this complex indigenous picture, and then the ships arrive, the colonial era begins, the Dutch, 1652, that's the date everyone knows. But their goal wasn't initially conquest, was it?
No, not exactly. The Dutch East India Company, the VOC, they needed a pit stop. A refreshment station for their ships heading to Asia. But, providing supplies means farming. Farming means needing land. And needing land means conflict. It spiraled from there.
And then the British, how did their arrival change things? Was it more impactful?
Oh, definitely. The British arrival and subsequent control was far more systematic in its impact on land. Yeah. They weren't just setting up a station, they were imposing a whole system. Think formalized racial hierarchies, heavy taxation, forced removals on a massive scale, and just widespread land alienation. Taking land became policy.
How did they actually take it? These sources mention different methods.
A mix. Sometimes it was outright theft, violence. Other times, coercive treaties or bargains where the power imbalance was just huge. Brute force was often the bottom line.
The consequences sound utterly devastating, pushing whole communities into reserves.
Exactly. Often onto the least fertile land. And the sources mention horrific campaigns, like against the Nama and Herero in what's now Namibia under the Germans bordering on genocide. It shows the brutality involved.
Yeah, it really does. It wasn't just taking land. It was about breaking people, dislocating them completely.
Absolutely. Creating cycles of poverty and trauma that, last generations.
Which brings us, maybe jarringly, to today. Post-apartheid South Africa. and land, still incredibly one of the most divisive issues, emotional political dynamite.
It really is. And there's this statistic that jumps out from the sources. Despite all the promises after apartheid ended, a tiny percentage of the population, still predominantly white, controls the vast majority of the good farmland, the high-value land.
That's staggering.
It is. And it raises that question again, what about the first people, the Khoisan descendants? Where do they fit in now?
That's a crucial point. How are they treated in these modern land discussions?
Often marginalized, sadly. The sources mention they get labeled extinct sometimes, or mixed, or non-Bantu. These labels make their claims harder to process within the existing legal frameworks. Many descendants are still living in deep poverty, fighting just for basic recognition, let alone land restitution.
The 1996 Constitution did try, didn't it? Recognizing traditional leadership, allowing land claims.
Yes, it was a hugely important step. But the problem is, how do you fit centuries of complex, often unwritten history and dispossession into neat legal boxes?
It doesn't always fit.
Exactly. Especially for groups like the Khoisan, whose traditional ways of relating to land were so different from the property laws imposed later.
So where does that leave us today? It sounds like less of a clear path forward and more of a battleground of stories.
That's a really good way to describe it. A modern war of narratives. You hear all these conflicting claims right from the sources. We were here first.
Right.
We built this modern economy.
Okay.
Our ancestors are buried here. But we bought this land legally under the current system.
Yeah.
And then the one that tries to shut it all down, the past is past, let's move on.
But you can't just move on when the legacy is so present.
Precisely. Because land isn't just dirt. It's identity, it's economy, it's memory, it's power. All wrapped up together. So yeah, it's like this buried war that keeps erupting in parliament, in courtrooms, during protests, even just in how people talk about who belongs.
So we circle back to that first question. Who are the true owners? And after all this, there's just no simple answer.
No easy answer at all. But maybe, for you listening, the deeper question to wrestle with is this. Who controls the narrative of ownership?
What do you mean?
Well, think about it. Who gets to decide which story counts? Is it the people with the oldest documents, the title deeds? Or the ones whose ancestors were there before documents existed? Is it the people who hold economic power now? Or the ones who had military power back then? Or maybe, in a democracy, is it simply about who has the votes?
That really shifts the perspective.
It does, doesn't it?
So the final thought maybe is, what happens when you truly grasp that every single piece of land holds multiple stories? And the storytellers themselves have always been in conflict.
That's it.
Something to keep thinking about. We really encourage you to stay curious, keep digging into these complex topics. That's what these deep dives are all about.
You've been inside the bubble. Until next time, stay sharp, stay curious.